What is your definition of abundance? Most people think about money, but how do you define it?
Well, first of all, like that's to me such a great question, because if you go to Alaska, there are 70 or more words for snow, right?
Wow.
It's like
Yeah.
when you say it's snowing, it's like, well, what kind of snow? What do you mean by snow? Is it sleet?
Oh.
Is it thick? Is it thin? Right? When you talk about abundance, let's first define, like you just said, like what does abundance mean? And I think that in so many realms, abundance is a Range Rover. Like in so many conversations, abundance is a bigger house. In so many conversations, abundance is $10 million. And my definition of abundance is to say to people, you have way bigger dreams than that. You didn't come to this world to go on this human journey just to get more piles of things. You came to this world because you want to feel inner peace. You came to this world because you want to feel synchronicity. You came to this world because you want to have a mystical experience. You came to this world because you want to feel flow state and creative downloads and turn thoughts into things. Like that's the feeling of abundance, right? If you ask people who have millions and zillions of dollars why they're still creating or working, or why they're still journeying to seek, wisdom within themselves, it's because they didn't come to just have stuff. They came for a deep, mystical, transcendent, powerful experience where they feel that they're stepping into their potential, and they feel like they are finding equanimity, and they feel, what it feels like to generate energy within themselves and to become a portal for energy to other people. So abundance to me is like, when I went to Jerusalem after college, I lived there for 3 years, and my rabbi said, think of it like we're each a light bulb. And the word Kabbalah means to receive. So he said, some light bulbs receive 45 watts. Some light bulbs can receive 100 watts. And the idea of abundance is, how much can we be a portal for? How much energy can each of us transmit? How much love? How many times have we walked in a room and the most impressive person in the room is the most loving person, the person with the best energy? When you're around someone with the best energy, you feel more peaceful just being with them. When you're with someone who has great energy, you feel alive again. You feel like you rested. Even though you've been in a conversation, you feel so recharged just being with someone with great energy. So that's abundance. Wow. The Maharal, who was a sage, a rabbi in the 17th century, he said that a candle has the power to light a million other candles and not lose its own flame. That's abundance. True abundance multiplies. It doesn't lose anything of itself. Yeah. So true abundance, when you're really in this place where you are brimming with energy and vitality and love and expansion and creativity and equanimity and peacefulness and compassion and passion and creativity and enthusiasm and presence and resonance, your own beingness lights every candle that you will meet today. You will turn on everyone you meet, the person who's your barista, the person who you meet as you drop your kids off at school. They'll all feel more alive because you're like a Wi-Fi router. So when you say, what does abundance mean? It's like when you're in that state of being, it's a state of being that makes you feel so alive, so whole. You have no need, when you're feeling that way, you don't need people to like you on Instagram. When you're feeling that way, you're not concerned and worrying if the next check is going to come in. And then what happens is when you're abundant in energy, you become a magnet for the most amazing opportunities. People want to collaborate with you. If you start a project, it turns to gold because you are so available for letting it be so creative, so alive. And the funny thing is that the reason we all want anything, whether you want a relationship or you want $10 million, is because of how you think it's going to make you feel. But if you feel that feeling now, you feel that feeling of being so expansive, so free, so authentic, so on purpose, so significant, so in love with life, so in love with the divine, so connected to the oneness of what is, then you are it. You've arrived, and it's always been there. And the funny thing about manifestation is when you are the energy of that, you realize that energy creates matter. Just like photosynthesis turns energy into physical plants, or boiling water bends pasta and changes the molecules.
Yeah.
When you're in that level of energy, your literal vibration moves so quickly. It's like gamma waves, and it bends the 3D reality. So you do start to manifest. You do start to create because you create from energy. And the more in wholeness and in love with you are with life itself and life force, you are the vibe. And then, of course, you can manifest anything. So that's why I wrote this book. And that's why I'm so turned on by the conversation.
That was so powerful, Cathy. First of all, your passion. Second of all, I felt like you were the light and I was being lit up.
And you are the light, see? So,
oh my gosh. And you know what? Even hearing that, I thought I knew I understood abundance, but hearing you speak about it that way, I was like, wow, it's so much bigger and deeper than I even thought. I thought it was, oh, you just have unlimited everything, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's such a spiritual thing. It's abundance of our energy, abundance of all possibilities.
right.
And I also love your pasta metaphor. How we can bend the reality the higher we vibrate. That's really powerful.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
That's literally
Wow.
it. And also, something else I talk about in my book that Rabbi Aaron taught me is that if the word Kabbalah means to receive, which it does, that's what the Hebrew word means, then what it means is like we're each like a radio. A radio is a receiver. What does a radio receive? Frequency. Okay. But if you turn on a radio, you can tune it to different frequencies and you'll hear a different song. And the song that's being played in the room is determined by the frequency the radio is set to. And we're each a radio.
Yes.
So if you are tuned to the station in your heart, it's a station of love and wisdom and compassion, then your entire life will be a song of love and compassion. It makes me want to cry.
That's so beautiful.
But if you are tuned to the station in your head that is in lack, that is in jealousy, conceit, anger, rage, shame, self-doubt, unworthiness, then everything will be a reflection of that unworthiness, and it will be painful. And that's why different people have totally different experiences. And you could take two people, put them on the same park bench in Central Park in the same moment on the same day, and they have a totally different experience of that day.
Yes. Yes.
Because of how they perceive, which is why Abraham Hicks talks about be in receptive mode, which means the more you're receiving what's really here to receive, wholeness, love, wisdom, perspective. You know, the mind has no answers in it. All the answers are in the heart. They recently did a series of MRIs on monks at Columbia University. They did an MRI on their brain. And the doctor said, the scan makes it look like they're not even alive because there's no brain activity.
Wow.
Because all the activity is in the heart. The wisdom we seek, the answers we seek are never in the head. You know, it's like you have a thing where you start thinking and overthinking and you just get further into stress. But if you ask your heart, what do you need me to remember today? It has an answer. Because the heart is never in lack. It's always full. Even when you're at a funeral and your heart is breaking, there's a feeling in the heart that's still a feeling of love. It almost feels grateful to be breaking because grief is love.
Yes.
So it's like the heart doesn't interpret things the way the mind does. And so a lot of the time we're just operating from this unconscious place of cortisol in our amygdala, fight or flight, constantly in lack. What do I need to achieve? What do I need to create outside of me so I feel more abundant inside of me? And the heart always flips that script and says, how much is already within me and how much deeper can I go to connect with the divine? Rabbi Aaron says we're each someone because we're some of the one. We're a masterpiece. We're a piece of the master. And Einstein said, if everything's made of energy and an atom is 99% energy and 1% particle, it means the universe that we're looking at that we think is physical is 99% a vibration. So how can you and I be separate? That's like separating one wave in the ocean from another wave. They're all connected. So it's all oneness. So when you really strip away the illusion of separation, the illusion of physicality, and you move into the energy of what is real, which is the energy that everything is made of, you do feel abundant, you do feel whole, you do feel connected, and you realize how one wave can then help all the other waves to rise. So when people say, what do I do about people around me who are energy vampires? Or what do I do if people around me are not high vibe? And I say, don't worry about protecting your energy. Instead, project your energy. Because if the Dalai Lama were to walk in to the DMV, he would put everyone in a good mood. Because resonant energy, it will always seek the highest possible signal. And we are all looking for the highest signal. That's why if you're at dinner and somebody is in a really good space, they'll affect the whole group and help everyone rise. So instead of thinking that people around you will bring you down, it's more like the more you come from your open-hearted, coherent, resonant self, people will surprise you. People will start to smile. People will start to remember who they really are, and they'll shrug off their negativity.
Wow. You did talk about something called law of reception, and I want to go deeper into that because I'm sure a lot of people listening are like, yeah, it sounds great, but how do I receive this abundance that you say is available to all of us? Like, how can we expand this capacity to receive?
First of all, having the awareness of what we just talked about is a really good place to start, right? Because we have to remember that the mind is just a nonstop frenetic, crazy, thought parade. And most of it is fake news. And thoughts are not facts. And they usually repeat themselves. So usually 90% of what you thought today, you thought yesterday. And the mind has a negativity bias. And the mind is actually addicted to cortisol. And cortisol creates inflammation in the body, and it's stress hormone. So it's actually something we become addicted to. So we're more addicted to cortisol than nicotine in the body, which means when you start to feel relaxed and at ease, your body says, wait, where's my cortisol? This doesn't feel safe. The same way, like if you tried to get off sugar, 3 days later, your body's going to say, where's the sugar? I'm having a headache. I need the sugar. But you can teach yourself, no, actually, even though you've been addicted to sugar, it's not good for you. And I know it doesn't feel good to get off of it, but I promise you on the other side, you're going to feel better. It's the same thing with cortisol. So when you're in this stress place of bad thoughts, negative thoughts, I'm not enough, I need to achieve more. Oh my God, when's this going to happen? The stress, pressure. Then the only thing that makes you feel better is dopamine, which is a molecule of more. So dopamine is like, well, the only way to feel better is to check my phone again. Oh, another notification, dopamine. Oh, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to think of the next thing I can achieve for dopamine, which is just a rat race, right? Because dopamine is like MSG. It leaves you hungry. The thing you really want is serotonin, which is the molecule of being present and being satiated in the present moment. And we are so wired to achieve that we don't practice how much satisfaction there is to feel every day. And there are so many moments in our regular lives where we have a perfect moment. Everything is actually perfect. The sun is shining, you just ate a meal, you're with your friend, but you don't stop and register. There's nothing missing. I'm totally satisfied. And the more we begin to practice that and start noticing, oh my God, all day, every day, my mind tells me there's something more I need. I better go check my phone. I better set another goal. I better think about the future or worry about the past. It's like, what about in this very moment? Can you notice the 28 shades of green outside? Can you take in the fact that you are living here today in this very moment, and this moment is beautiful? What happens is you start memorizing how good it feels to feel satisfied. And the more you feel that feeling of equanimity and stillness and satisfaction, even in little moments, you start manifesting tons of abundance because wholeness creates wholeness. There's literally a law called the law of resonance. And so I talk about in the book, like if you went into a guitar store and you pick a guitar off the wall and you pluck the G string, all the guitars on the wall in the store are going to vibrate but only the G string will vibrate.
That's so
Because
interesting.
what you send out, literally, you kind of like are choosing
You activate it.
You activate that signal, right? So when a girl goes on a date and she feels really in need of being loved and she wants it so badly because she doesn't feel it inside, she's so needy. Is it going to be a good date or a bad date? Right? It's not great. But if a girl goes on a date and she's got this like Zoe Deschanel, like she's just happy with herself kind of vibe, then every guy she dates is going to want to date her.
Yeah.
Because it's the wholeness. So when we're feeling lack, we just keep pushing things further away. So the more we just notice what there is to notice in this moment, the more we start to draw the abundance into our life more.